Yes, is, and that's on my chest. Miss Spivey is the best, and I can't take credit. I just happen to be blessed. I got a message to share. Listen if you dare. Don't follow the shadows. Look up and see clear. I swear it's like Plato's allegory of the cave. How can I free people who choose to be slaves? I try until they put me in the grave. I promise the world I save. I'm focused.
Welcome to the Rising Spivey Show. I'm your host, Miss Chanel Spivey. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. It's the second season, the first episode of the second season, and I have a great topic. But before we get to that, I just have to say thank you to everybody that makes this happen. Thank you to my team. Thank you to Brian, my wonderful co-host. Thank you, Denard. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Jessica, for the hair. Thank you, Shamir, for the makeup. And thank you, Dominic, for this beautiful outfit. I got a bunch of great people working with me. Thank you all. To my viewers, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your kind emails, showing me support. I mean, I can't get enough of it. And now I want to thank myself for being so fly and for having the courage to jump out the window and start my own television show. You know, when I created the Rising Spivey Show, I wanted a show that was about issues that mattered to me. I wanted to talk about things that I felt my community was not discussing. And today, we're going to talk about something that is very important, motherhood in the new millennium. Two very important things, subtopics in this issue. Number one, single motherhood, and number two, teen pregnancy.
How old are you?
14.
14. Date of birth?
9893.
9893.
Okay. So,
you're going first, Samantha.
So we're just going to go back in. So we're going to do, for me, it's a public health issue. Part of it is because I and people like me have not done a good enough job at educating, haven't done a good enough job at getting birth control out there.
6 years ago, I was 19 years old, and I became pregnant with my beautiful Kenzie. Now, children are blessings whenever they come, however God gives them to you. We are very happy and blessed to have them. But having a child so young put me in a tough spot in my life. I was still growing up, so I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. I think it would be irresponsible of me to not share my story. Number one, to encourage young ladies to hold on to their virginity. I want to encourage abstinence. And number two, I want to encourage other young women who have beautiful blessings a little bit too early to continue to shine and live out your dreams no matter what. I can't cover this important topic alone. I have some great people to help me. Dr. John Niles has been delivering babies for 40 years. Former mayor of D.C., Marion Barry, looked to this man to chair an important research committee that studied the social ramifications of teen pregnancy, which contributed to the high infant mortality rate in the district. He's going to share his knowledge and his expertise with us. Christina Stewardvant is the founder of Dream Life, a nonprofit that strives to teach young mothers the importance of being well-educated, work-oriented, and emotionally stable to create lifelong success for themselves as well as their families. She's here to tell us more about her organization and her experience as a young mother. Stephanie Lindo is a student at Bowie High School. She and I will chat about peer pressure and setting boundaries as well as goals. I also get to sit down with some great people. Miss Trevon Brunson and Adam Butler from Mindstream Radio will add to this discussion. I really did pour my heart into this episode. I hope that you not only enjoy it, but you learn something from it too. My first question was why? What do you think is going on? Why are we continuing to see so many young ladies, despite the information being out there, despite us knowing that we shouldn't, get pregnant at young ages? Why? What happens?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's an issue of poverty, for one thing, socioeconomic changes. You find the highest incidence in teen pregnancy or young adult pregnancy is in African-American women. You don't see it in Asian women. I mean, it was the last time I've seen an Asian teenager. Never. It's cultural, it's socioeconomic. So the population that we're seeing has a particular problem in terms of access to care. If you don't have health insurance, you can't get in to get the birth control pills.
Universal health care is one of the biggest debates in America. America's children are not receiving the preventative health care that they need. The University of California studied 8,500 adolescents between the ages of 10 and 17 in a survey and found that only 38% of them received preventative health care within the last year. Universal health care would ensure that all citizens will have access to care regardless of wealth or status. Perhaps then, more young women will have access to contraceptives.
You have a situation in which if a pregnancy does occur, many times a young lady will conceal it until it's too far along, that if someone wanted to have a termination, which I don't approve of, but some people do have that option. But again, that becomes a socioeconomic issue of the availability of health care and the concept culturally that this is something that's okay. Many times we find that mothers initially are repulsed by the idea of their daughter being pregnant, but then once she is pregnant, then they're very supportive because they're going to be the grandmother, and it seems as though they have a chance to live it over again and try to help the child. The bottom line is that particular child is going to end up in poverty no matter what the situation is. You have a teenager who has a baby, is not married, doesn't have the financial resources, that child is going to be in poverty. Maybe the mother, the teenage mother may not be because she's got support from her family. But if you look down the road, you got 90% of the men in prison in this country, it's been documented, evidence-based documentation, are the sons of teenage mothers, period.
90%?
90%, yes.
Wow.
Then you have, on the other hand, you got the teenage mother who had a child at 15, and invariably you'll find a grandmother at 34, at 30. It's the same pattern, goes through generation.
The media has such a huge influence over society. Unfortunately, it's not always a good influence. Most mainstream hip-hop and R&B music seems to glorify promiscuity, and you cannot watch the television without someone adding sex to a program or to a commercial to sell us some product. I asked Dr. Niles about the media's influence and its effects on teen pregnancy and single motherhood.
The sex that's put on television, the things in the media, the reality shows, this teen pregnancy reality show.
For most American teens, high school is about having fun. But for these 6 girls, high school will not be the same. From MTV. 16 and pregnant.
I have a 13-year-old, and unfortunately she watches that. And I say, well, why are you watching it? Oh, it's interesting. So, you know, whether she feeds on that and that will make her influenced by seeing those programs, I'm not sure. But when you have Sarah Palin's daughter dancing on the stars, all glitzy and everything, and then she is described as a teen advocate. I mean, she's just an unwed mother.
What if I didn't come from a famous family? What if I didn't have all their support? What if I couldn't finish my education? What if I didn't have all these opportunities? Believe me, it wouldn't be pretty. Pause before you play.
So you work in media at a radio station, mainstream radio. Tell me about what do you feel the media's influence is on young adults to be sexually active?
It's happy. Sex sells. I mean, you know, you look at it, and I hate to keep bringing up the same people, but you look at Nicki Minaj, Lil' Kim, even Foxy Brown. You know, they all had to sell sex, and there's plenty of female artists, actresses, or whoever that, you know, can't get on because they won't go that route. So it definitely sells. It's definitely, I would say, the most important thing for a female artist or actress. I would hate to say, but it's the truth.
It's the truth.
In the society that we live in, sex sells. I mean, I don't need to reiterate the fact that sex sells. We see it every day. We walk out of our doors and we see it. We turn on the television and we see it. We listen to the radio and we see it. It's a lot of influence towards the female that you have to put yourself in a place where you're exposing yourself, or that's viewed as being pretty, or, you know, that's viewed as being the way to go. You got to look like Nicki Minaj, or you have to look like the Little Kims just to get some type of attention. And I think it sends the wrong message to females because we're all beautiful, but your beauty becomes inside out. And I think the media plays a significant part in shaping the mind frame of females by basically saying, in order for you to be considered sexy or beautiful or pretty, you have to show your body. And of course, what does that do? That turns the male on. So what does that do? That gets the hormones going, and then that leads to what? The intercourse. So then we have teenage pregnancy.
Breaking news out of the Fraser community this evening. The Action News 5 investigators have discovered 90 girls who attend Fraser High School are now pregnant or have already had a baby this school year.
At Fraser High School, excellence is our expectation, no excuses. The motto could prove difficult to live up to for 90 girls who have either had a baby or who are expecting. Fraser High currently serves 800 students, meaning 11% of the student body is already experiencing the trials of parenthood. It's a Title I school. Fraser receives federal dollars based on the number of kids from low-income families who qualify for free or reduced lunch. Nearly 100% of the students qualify. Such a high rate of pregnancy at one school is dire, but sources tell Action News 5 there is a massive initiative in the works dedicated to preventing teen pregnancy in the Fraser community. The initiative will include after-school and in-school programs funded with grant money run by a local nonprofit that already does some work for city schools. A $250,000 ad campaign targeted at the Fraser community based on research done in focus groups at the school. A federally funded component that works on the responsibility of young men will be operated through a Memphis hospital. And the city of Memphis is also a partner and could offer some support, possibly through the Social Innovation Fund. While those 90 students will not benefit from such a highly targeted pregnancy prevention initiative, it could truly give future generations of Fraser High School students an expectation of excellence, no excuses, and no worries about parenting.
She'll probably be sleepy.
Terica Sutton is getting used to the challenges of being a teen mom. Her 2-month-old daughter Kamaya definitely keeps the 16-year-old Fraser High student busy.
In the morning time, she'll wake me up about 5, and I get up and find me something to wear to school, and I get her dressed. If she goes somewhere, like her dad keep her sometimes.
Terica says she was 5 months along when she found out she was pregnant. Her parents and classmates were stunned.
They was like, Turk, I never knew you would get pregnant. And I was like, well, it happened.
I asked Terica why so many girls like her at Fraser High are ending up pregnant.
Some girls try to do it because they think it's cute. Some be an accident.
So you think these girls are making agreements with each other to kind of see who, do you think it's an agreement or it's a pact or?
They probably is. They probably plan it, like plan what they're going to do to get pregnant. And no telling.
Terica says educators need to do more to try to help prevent teen pregnancies.
They need a class where they can teach like the girls before they get pregnant and use protection and stuff, and don't try to get pregnant.
Is there peer pressure? Do young kids feel like they are pressured to be sexually active? If you have a boyfriend or if you had a boyfriend, is there pressure to be physical with him?
I mean, I guess it depends on the people you hang around. Like, if your friends have the same morals and ideals you have, they're more on the side of don't do it, it's not worth it. But when you're with certain people or you have certain friends, then it kind of changes that.
My pastor said many years ago, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You've heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together. First things first, and what I tell my daughter, everyone is not your friend. Only you can decide who your real friends are, so be choosy of the company that you keep. If you have friends that are promiscuous, you're going to find yourself in situations where sex and other inappropriate activity will arise. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Think about it. What do you want your future to be? And think about what it's going to take for you to get there. If you're having sex, you should be ready to be a mother. And if you are not ready to be a mother, you should not be having sex. I asked Trevon, how did holding off on motherhood contribute to her success?
I think it contributed a lot to my success, being that I was able to go to college and finish in 4 years. I worked full-time while I was in school. I was able to have a successful career at a young age just because I had a lot more time than other people, going to work and working 2 to 10, you know, not having to worry about taking care of a child and
rushing to the daycare.
Exactly. So it gave me a lot more room to grow into my career. I travel a lot, so that's another thing that I wouldn't be able to do had I decided to have a child.
Dr. Niles also schooled me on the effects of STDs with young people. Did you know that cancer can be in your future if you become sexually active too soon?
Sexually transmitted diseases are a major concern because there's a condition called HPV, human papillomavirus, which can cause cervical cancer. There's been a lot in the media about getting a vaccine to prevent that. Unfortunately, the vaccine doesn't work on all because there's 16 different variants and only 4 of them are in the vaccine, just like with the flu vaccine. You get a flu vaccine 1 year and it's not effective the next year. So there's no protection. You need to look at that when I'm saying about physically and emotionally ready, also physically and emotionally ready to have intercourse and have a relationship that may lead to a sexually transmitted disease.
What has been your experience with young ladies and sexually transmitted diseases?
The problem with HPV, or human papillomavirus, is that as a virus, teenage girls, young teenage girls, do not have a developed immune system to ward off that particular virus. It's a very high incidence of that. It leads to abnormal pap smears. They have to come back for biopsies. They have to go back for cone biopsies, freezing treatments, any number of different things to try to correct or control this so it doesn't advance to dysplasia or cervical cancer. Now, the incidence of cervical cancer is small, but there's that risk associated. If someone were to drop out of the surveillance system, they could develop a cervical cancer later just from having one sexual activity.
A third of teenage moms or teenage pregnancies, and they terminate them. What about the health concerns with that, with undergoing that type of procedure?
As I mentioned earlier, many times a teenager will conceal the fact that she's pregnant until it's very late, second trimester. Any procedures can be done, but what happens is with that procedure, you can get a condition, I don't want to get technical, but it's called incompetence cervix, where the opening of the womb is stretched to allow this larger conceptions to be removed. So later on, when she decides she wants to have a child again, then she is more of a candidate for preterm labor and prematurity. Prematurity leads to cerebral palsy. So you have a cascading effect of complications associated with a termination in the second trimester.
Because I'm reading and I'm seeing that some young ladies or women in general use abortion almost as a form of birth control these days. And now you're saying that can open up a can of worms for you in the future.
And the problem too is, and I see it in practice, I've been, as I told you, I've been in too many years. But what I see is the fact that many times someone will have a termination when they're young, sometime in college, and then when they're in their 30s, they've achieved their career, they're trying to have a child and they can't. And the guilt goes back to that situation where they made that decision to terminate that pregnancy, and can be an emotional heartbreak for that particular person.
I had the privilege to speak to Christina Stewart-Vent about her nonprofit and helping young women and their children get what they need to be successful. So why did you start your nonprofit organization?
I started Dream Life because I wanted to develop a center where young mothers can go for mentorship and resources that they needed to accomplish their dreams and to be independent and stable and won't have to rely on government-assisted programs or friends or family. They have everything they need within themselves to become everything they want to be in life despite having a child or any other circumstances that they come across.
We tend to carry so many different loads and we want to be very good mothers, and we want to be good housekeepers, and we want to be career women, and we want to be cute, and we want to, you know, still have a social life. How do you find, or how are you able to balance it all? And you run a nonprofit organization to help other people.
Yeah, I think the encouragement that I get from my friends, like I could be really stressed out planning events for Dream Life and making sure Monty is okay and doing my full-time job, but everybody around me is like, wow, you're doing a really good job. I can't believe you're doing this. Where do you get all this drive from? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just in me, and they keep pushing me, all my friends and family, so they're really supportive, and I just keep on going. Like, I know I set plans, I set goals, and I just try to achieve them one step at a time.
I am very thankful for my supportive family. I would not have survived without them. And I've met so many angels along my journey too. I want to take a moment to show my appreciation to Miss Kim at Rainbow Childcare in Bowie, Maryland. I met you at my daughter's one of her first daycares when they were shutting down, and I will never forget. They had the table set up, and then we were like interviewing or meeting these different centers, and I got to your table, and you were like, "Look, you're gonna love my center." You were so confident. I said, "I got to check this out," and I really did. It was unmatched. I'm talking about just professionality. Looking clean and decent and beautiful and welcoming and smiling faces. So tell us about Rainbow.
Rainbow started almost 20 years ago, and I actually was controller of a company. In addition to that, I had a business already running. And I went to church one Sunday, and our pastor told us to pray for the purpose of your life, because if you do that, you'll be most fulfilled. So I went home and I prayed, and I asked God what he put me here for. And I said, whatever it is, just move me into it. And within a year's time, I opened Rainbow in the basement of my home. I turned it into a preschool, and I asked my business partner, Maria Campbell, to come with me. She's my sister, and she did, and Rainbow started. And it was because also, how did God tell me? I could not find the care that I needed for my child.
That's serious.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I'm telling you, when you all go into Rainbow, it is not like anything else that you have seen. It's just perfect. I would go interview some places, and I was very picky because I think the thing with me is the cleanliness. I just need it to look decent. I don't know. Who knows what's happening there when you leave, honestly. But I need to at least see this place shining and colorful, and you know, you guys got the paintings when you first come in. It's just a beautiful, happy looking place to be.
It's important to me that the children love where they're coming, that they get everything they need. So it was my idea, because I couldn't find the care I needed for my son at the time, who was almost 2, and he was in a very difficult situation with someone, and had a daughter who was 8 at the time, and I wanted to be at home with her. You know, just be able to take her to school and pick her up from school, because my mom was able to. And so it was really important to me to get this started, to be there for my children. And so when I thought about what I wanted for my children, I wanted the same for everybody else's. I wanted a nice, beautiful, clean, happy place where the children could learn and thrive and develop and be just all that they could be. And because of it, you know, the children at Rainbow have done extremely well. I started almost 20 years ago in the basement of my home, and now we have 2 centers, 2 locations. Of course, one in Bowie, the one that you had your daughter at, and we have one in Fort Washington, which is really where we started. And they've done very well. And the children test usually on a second grade level when they leave us. And that was important to me. We want to teach them how to learn, how to love learning, and just, you know, just make it all that they could want.
That's amazing that you say that, because that's my baby. Kenzie, when she left, right, well, first of all, her birthday was way behind, so she wasn't supposed to start school. And I said she could start. Tell me how to get her in. And they said, well, she's got to take this test and so and so and so. And I knew she was ready, and she took that test, and she started school a year early.
Right.
Well, not technically a year early. Her birthday fell late, and I wanted her to start early, so it wasn't exactly a whole year, but she's a year ahead than where she's supposed to be.
But actually she was, because when with the cutoff, she wasn't supposed to start until the next year.
Right.
But you have a very bright daughter anyway, and you've done a great job raising her, so it was easy for us to be able to do what we did with her.
The curriculum, you all actually, it's like the little ones get work to go home that they're excited about, and they get to sing, and they go on field trips, and they had dance recitals. I mean, it was really a good experience for the place that I was at in my life. Dang. For the place that I was at in my life, that part was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was an important thing. One of the things as an owner, I'm there every day, almost every day, all day, because I get so much enjoyment out of it. Because I love the children, because I want to make sure that they're getting everything they need, and because I want to be there for the parents.
And you were.
Yeah, I want to be there for all of you, and to supply, you know, just, and we keep growing. We you know, now the recital is huge. Now we have almost 800 parents at the dance recitals.
It was a big deal. I mean,
it's a production now. And then graduation is a huge production now. And you know, and I'm constantly looking at ways that we can improve. We have a music teacher this year. We have a Spanish immersion program this year. We have art. One of our parents was really wonderful and donated lots of computers to us. So, you know, all the classrooms have what they need, and it's just it's a wonderful, wonderful program.
You all include the meals too?
Oh yeah, yeah. All the meals are included.
That, again, at that point in my life, for not to have to worry about packing snack and lunch money. I mean, and I knew that she was gonna eat something decent. You have no idea. That's why I had to call you, because that point, there was so much going on for me, and to be able to, you know, you'd send your kids to daycare for how many hours a day? That I knew she was okay there. I trusted Miss Brenda. I trusted Carmen. I trusted the faces that I knew that they were good people, and I knew that she was getting what she needed. I knew that she was in a safe environment, and where you could talk to people too. You know, if you had any questions or concerns, you could go and not feel. And that was the issue with the center that I was at before, where, you know, you approached them and they felt like they were beyond reproach. Well, you can't ask questions about what we do here, but I felt like there was always open door policy, you know, open communication. I mean, it's just a phenomenal place to be. I mean, it really was.
Thank you. That's what we strive for there. We have wonderful teachers there, and they are very caring and very devoted. We have teachers there who are actually on the premises for 12 hours a day because they choose to be. Just loving it. The meals are wonderful meals. They're from the heart meals, I call them, because I put a lot of effort into the menus. And we're moving more into more of a vegetarian menu now because I think it's healthier for the children. We now serve organic milk, because it's healthier for the children. So everything I wanted from my own.
Dang, I wish I could just send Kenzie there for second grade.
I wish you could too. We will be hopefully increasing in grades very soon. We're working on that now.
It was like a little academy.
That's what it is.
Because the kids wear uniforms. I still have Kansie's ribbon. She asked me, why do you have this? And I don't want to give it away, that little tie. It's just so adorable to me. They got the sweaters. They took school pictures. I mean, it was really far beyond anything that anybody could want for their child. You can't skimp on that type of thing. You can't just go plop your child in any place. And so if you're in Bowie, what I'm saying is that you really need to stop past Rainbow Child Care. I'm going to put the address, the web address on the screen right here, and speak to Miss Kim and her staff.